Looks like we have the two Dark Link sprites, which is pretty interesting, going up against each other.
Looks like we're off too.
That is quite an item to be in that chest. Hookshot opens up, goodness, a lot of stuff.
Not really by itself right away, but yeah, it can definitely open up a lot depending on what they find early.
Yeah. Speaking of sword, I've never really seen sword on Uncle since version 29 started.
I actually have not seen it either since version 29. Well, you got your wish though.
Hammer is very nice. Indeed. Last thing we need for the wondrous perfect escape is a single bomb drop.
Yeah, and thankfully they got one of the, weapons where they don't have to worry about any kind of ammunition or magic or anything like that, so they can just go to town on any enemy they see, hoping for that drop now.
Sounds great. We had looks like a little pause to get the timers synced up. Spags might not be as confident with the hand. Well, I say that, and immediately DKS gets a little bit of a stutter, and we're back on exactly the same pace. That is a very early lantern. It's amazing that that lantern just decided to be one of the few places lantern actually can't be an escape.
Yeah, that's interesting, and what makes it even more interesting is if they get gloves, that is all of Death Mountain open immediately.
Do you go to Death Mountain? Like directly from Sanctuary if Death Mountain's open this early?
I think if I see gloves in escape, I would just go right there because you're walking right past it, and that's a lot of items up there that you can get to. Death Mountain itself might be a little dangerous, especially with the rocks. So you've only got two hits to survive, and third one will kill you. But as long as you can make it to or the old man and turn him in, then you at least have that as a respawn point.
So those pots do hammer damage, so it takes 2 pots, 2 hammers, or a combination of the 2 to kill this guy, which is much faster than really any other way of killing him.
Yeah, I think hammer gives you the quickest kill. I'm guessing fire rod would probably be the closest past that one.
Yeah. But yeah, you would just go directly to Hera, right? With lantern, hammer, hookshot.
Yeah, you could, check Spectral Rock, jump down, check all of East Death Mountain, and then head for Hera.
Sounds great. I must say I haven't ever actually seen a seed where the light in escape isn't required because we actually have a lamp. I haven't seen an escape lamp in... I don't know that I've ever seen an escape lamp in Randomizer.
I definitely have never seen it, so that is interesting. Free light cone, but you don't even need it.
Makes you wonder, is this even randomized? I mean, of course it is, but I mean, the lamp wasn't in its vanilla place. Any of its vanilla places. There's that 8 drop that DSpags has been looking for, and both our runners get it. That is fantastic.
Yeah, the 8's especially valuable because then you don't even really have to worry about buying bombs in Kakariko either. You can go all the way through there.
I think the only downside to this hookshot is it's a indication that Aga is coming.
Yeah, that's potential, but they also have the hammer, so as far as deciding between Aga or another Dark World access, it's still 2 items away either way. Just some rupees in the back room.
Well, yeah, hookshot isn't actually required for Aga, it's just an indication that Aga might be required. Because hookshot gives you access to West Dark World from Pyramid. So I count it as sort of half a strike towards Aga. Gloves could be in Dark World. Moon Pearl can be on the Pyramid. I've not seen that happen, but I've heard of it happening.
I have actually seen that happen. It's not a fun thing. There are worse things than the Moon Pearl on the Pyramid, though.
Like forgetting the Pyramid?
Well, not necessarily. I have seen...
Getting Aga, rather.
Oh, yeah, that. But no, I have actually seen a seed where Aga was required. Titan's Mitts were actually on the Pyramid before you even had Moon Pearl, and Moon Pearl ended up being in King's Tomb.
Oh, wow. That sounds awful. Anyway, looks like our tier 2 tree pool is hearts. We have more bombs in forced drop. DSpags choosing to skip that heart container. Or heart piece, rather.
I saw the map check. I believe I saw normal crystals on Desert and Eastern, and I believe it was Crystal 6 up on Hera. Have a lot of rupees in the basement of Blind's hut.
Yeah, this is already turning out to be a pretty nice seed. We've already gotten a lot of the stuff that you really want to see very early as a runner. A weapon with that you can actually use to kill things without worrying about capacity. Enough money to be able to actually run the seed.
See if the well holds just as much money.
I I think the answer to your question is, well, not maybe as much money. That was a lot of no, and they're more money, much more money.
Okay, it was 20 short, but almost.
It was a lot of money though. Goodness gracious. And we're
So,
gonna
yeah.
get an AGA check, not an AGA check, a PED check here.
That's, yeah, early book, that's a big thing to check, because if it's required, then that changes a lot.
That is a very nice, what looks like a wall glitch, but I don't see the chicken.
So it looks like we got a male upgrade.
Yep. Only downside of an early pet check is that thief is the earlier the game is, the more annoying that thief is.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess so. What would you do after leaving Kakariko if you don't find anything else of value? With getting the book, and they already have Lantern, Desert's open if it's not boots locked.
Yeah, but you can't finish it. You don't have a glove.
Oh, that's right.
I would do southeast Hyrule like normal. Let's see what DKS decides that he wants to do. Looks like DKS is going the route that I suggested.
Yeah, I know one thing I've seen a couple times so far in the tournament, depending on what they've gotten early. If Desert gets open, it's not completely open yet, but I've seen them kind of do a reverse route where they start at Mini Moldorm Cave and then go towards Egginess and going in a desert at that point. Only problem I've seen with that is it orphans the Ice Rod Cave, which I've seen that bite somebody in the butt already.
Oh, Ice Rod Cave is like 50-50 at this point for me. As always, vanilla any item is pretty awful. But vanilla gloves, I think is less awful than normal for a vanilla item. Not only has this been a rich seed, this has been an incredibly healthy seed.
It has, and they also they did get the Moon Pearl in Mini Moldorm Cave. Or DK has it, and DSpags is about to pick it up once he gets through, I'm sure.
We are still waiting on gloves to ensure no AGA.
DK's gotta be careful of these crabs right now.
He He took a lot of damage from crabs on his way up here. Did DSpags just hit a flying rock out of the air?
It surely looked like it. I don't think I've ever seen that. So looks like DK's heading up to Eastern Palace, the Hashvilla.
We might see a fake flippers from DSpags.
It is a sequence break, but I think it'd be a good one to make because you have the money for Zora already. So even if you want to route in the hobo, you're looking at 4 items, and then you can check the ledge as well to see if you're going to need to come back.
We have a pretty nice seed going so far. It's still early. It still has time for everything to go wrong, though.
Looks like we got our first divergence. We got DK going to Eastern Palace, and DSpags is going to head towards Desert with that book.
I think the big reason to not fake flippers here is that Zora's not actually in logic, and you really don't want to go to Zora when he's not in logic. Even with the absurd amount of money we have right now.
Yeah, we got the gloves in Agnes Cave.
That is a big play, and DSpags has the first Dark World access. Unfortunately, the only item that they have that can damage Landmolus is their hammer. And the hammer Landmolus is not a fun fight.
They might not even be able to make it up to Landmolus because that was a small key on the torch.
It all depends on what this pull is. Nope, they can still get there. I completely forgot already they had the lantern. I was mentally preparing for a dark room with no sword.
Yeah, you don't see the lantern as early. Well, there's the first sword.
DSpags deciding against Hammer Landmolus. Which means DKS might be finishing Landmolus in one go here. Leaving whatever items are on the right side behind. Though for all we know, they could be like book and not book, map and compass.
Yeah, it's very possible. And then you make it forced boots at that point too.
So we're probably going to see just a full clear of Death Mountain here. Light Death Mountain, at least. From DSpags.
We do not know both items. We only know the one item.
I am very surprised by this save and quit. I would have thought that Desert would have been the clear play here.
Guess feels better going to Dark World. Well, I'm pretty sure DSpags is going to pick that up because that was so. And let's see if Hype Cave is hype.
Yeah, these silvers just save so much time. I think on Vitruvius alone, they make up their time. The time it takes to get them. Hype Cave has just Master Sword. I say just Master Sword. That is definitely something these runners want to see.
Yeah, especially after you have Dark World access, so you don't have to worry about going through Agoniz with that.
I would give that a 7 out of 10 on the hype scale.
Yeah, that sounds about good with second sword. Always nice to see early before you really have to go through much.
The other thing is, Hera is open to these runners, and Master Sword Hera is a lot faster than just regular Sword Hera. Oh, DSpags doesn't even have regular Sword yet. That is quite a difference.
Yeah, well, we found mitts.
So if you're DSpags, you go Hera into Spiral Cave directly into Dark World, right?
Yeah, that would be the best routing I could see with Titans being there.
Mirror notwithstanding.
Yeah, and another good point that chat brought up as well with the Master Sword going up Death Mountain. When they're finished with Hera, before they do Hera, they can check and get the item from Ether Tablet if it's something important. That could be a big thing too.
I imagine DSpags will probably be checking that item at least. So we're about to see how big a deal this is.
That could be interesting.
I think that's a bigger deal than I thought it could possibly be. That is not something you want to have to come back for.
Always nice to see the big key in the first chest in Hera.
first area in Hera, I guess. I do think that's the perfect start for Hera, an item and the big key.
Yep, very low chance of having to go to that basement, but... Dr. Time Warp, these swords were... First sword was in the Eastern Palace and Hype Cave, was the second one. Oh, that's kind of a problem for DK. He ran out of bombs, he can't actually flip this crystal.
There are bombs in Hera, so it's not actually that big a deal. It's just a slight time loss.
Well, that was a convenient bomb to find.
I think he realized, well, I actually need 2 bombs in order to do those rooms, so... Or he actually needs 2 bombs.
We get our first crystal. And we don't have to go to the basement either, because I did see the second item get picked up.
You need to hit that switch, DK. Very efficient room there. So, the not having a bomb for the way up Death Mountain might be a blessing in disguise, because DSpag, or sorry, DKS, might be encouraged to go to Turtle Rock, the Turtle Rock Dark World entrance, which, if it happens to be Bombos, might allow him to open up Turtle Rock while he's going through, which will in turn give him another bomb, because the beginning of Turtle Rock has a bomb.
That's very true. How many rupee hordes are there? Are there 4 or are there 5?
The only items I know about are the singletons, the fact that the singletons and the 28 red rupees. I guess knowing the number of rupee hordes would be a good idea.
That was actually a really clean hammer kill for DK on Moldorn.
Absolutely. Let's see if he remembers to get the ether tablet here.
There's our map check. We've got pendants, red and blue, on Thieves and Turtle Rock. Green was in Skull Woods, and our other important pendant, or crystal, was in Pod.
Oh, I think DKS hasn't been counting, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw him go for the big chest where he got the key to lead him here, and I must not have been counting them.
Setting up a death warp here.
One interesting thing on DSpags' side is even though he was already up on Dark Death Mountain and checked the Hookshot Cave, he didn't actually go check the medallion required for Turtle Rock.
DSpags set up a death warp and then didn't leave any enemies to die. Oh, there's one. Never mind. He is gonna remember the Ether Tablet though.
We'll have to see how long it's going to take for him to turn that mushroom in. We'll see if that was something important or not.
I think the big deciding factor on Mushroom in particular is whether or not you get a mirror and can route that into doing Catfish. Or, of course, how long it takes for our runners to find the flute.
Getting blocked by that dead rock.
Oh, I know DKS has a lot of interesting stuff happening, but the digging game is the very first dig. It's a red rupee, which, you know, it's always a red rupee, but...
And also a red rupee in the chess game.
It feels like it's always a red rupee. It's not actually always a red rupee on the digging game. There's just so many red rupees in this game. So DSpags is probably going to be on Fighter Sword for a while. There are a lot of dungeons open to him prior to going to Eastern. I probably wouldn't go to Eastern anytime soon if I were him.
Yeah, I would probably end up leaving it alone as well.
Let's see if we get a turtle rock check here.
We're waiting for that. Have you ever seen the rupee counts this high before?
Yes, but it's not. It's not a common occurrence by any stretch. This is a lot of money, and no bottle. I've seen
No bottle?
2000s before.
Yeah, but we do have, it was Quake for Turtle Rock.
That is probably the best mail upgrade we're going to get.
Yeah, I don't see any other runners going and clearing all the pendant dungeons for red mail. Especially with as healthy as the seed is right now.
Yeah, we've only done one dungeon and we're already on the second row of hearts. This is pretty absurd.
The hype index for pedestal is absolutely nothing. It was already checked at about 8 minutes in. It is actually the red tunic that is sitting there.
DKS looks like he is going to be doing the Dark World route I prefer, which is clear out the items in the Skull Woods before entering Thieves Town.
Or when we get a death.
Everything hurts in Thieves Town. Everything hurts.
I did lose track of the items. I know Thieves Town is, it's only the blue pendant, but I'm not sure if I saw all 4 items or not.
That might have been an intentional death because it's a pendant. He might have brought blind all the way to their boss room and then immediately left. Which makes a lot of sense. You don't want to be fighting blind this early when it might not even be required.
Well, we know it won't actually be required because we already know it's on pedestal, so.
It might have an item.
Yeah, that would be the only way if it was an item, but.
That looks good from DSpags.
It's like all the dungeon items were in the early parts.
Pretty standard Dark World routing here. If you have the mirror, you probably check Graveyard Ledge while you're up here, but our runners don't. DSpags not a fan of Gibdos being alive, and I can't say I blame him. These guys are not nice.
So that's actually interesting because that means both of Skullwood's items are actually locked behind Fire Rod right now.
That was another intentional death. DSpags was only at 5 hearts and didn't want to go to Overworld with that few hearts.
Yeah, dungeon death not so bad. Death on the Overworld, that can hurt a lot.
So I think the big takeaway from this is I would say DSpags is a bit ahead solely from that from the fact that DKS miscounted items or simply wasn't counting items in Hera.
Yeah, I'd put him a little bit ahead right now. I know we're still waiting on that mushroom from Ether Tablet, because that could change things really quick.
I feel like we'll be waiting a while. Mushroom is just way out of the way right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Looks like DSpag is gonna go over and get his Master Sword over here. I can't remember there being anything else of any imports on the eastern route other than that Master Sword.
Yeah, I don't remember there being anything in the back of Sahashvala's hut, and I don't remember anything major in Eastern before that sword. Yeah, Sahashvala just had more hearts for everybody.
DKS might be a little bit more likely to go ahead and finish blind, as he has not actually checked the pedestal. That's skipping that heart. I would call that brave. This dungeon has just so many ways that it can kill you prior to blind.
Yeah, especially, the Hellway if it doesn't play nice, and Blue Mail's not so bad, but if you're in here in Green Mail, especially this upstairs, those crickets that run around dealing 2 hearts of damage, it hurts a lot. Even with this many hearts.
I haven't been counting Thieves Town at all. I have no idea how many items we're at.
I want to say I've only seen 2 so far. Because I'm pretty sure the front 4 only had 1, and everything else was dungeon items.
Well, we're gonna see a item check when DKS has to change to hammer to open this item up here. The maiden is palette swapped because Link is palette swapped. Changing Link's palette does just very strange things to everything.
Yeah, I know. The main gets 1. I believe the thief in the thief drop in Lost Woods gets 1 as well.
Uh,
Gonna
compass-
guess he might have been counting.
I saw his item menu. Compass was on blind.
Okay.
That failure to stun there has me raising my eyebrow. I feel like that really should have stunned. I don't know why. What the game thought was happening, but it just decided not to stun that enemy, I guess. DKS headed directly to desert, and I don't hate this play. Like, they can finish this dungeon, and it is required.
Yeah, and they've been able to finish it for a while. I mean, the hammer, landmolars, even the fighter sword would have, it's not the friendliest of fights, but with it being available, as long as it is, they found one of the items in there. Landmolars could have that second item.
So one thing I like to do when in this particular situation where the small key is on the torch and big key is still available very early, I like to kill myself, save and continue, go check go steal a key and check the right side, just to see if the item is required to come back here later.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, especially if it's something major, like, you could find the bow back here or something like that, because then you'd be able to clear pod and without having to worry about, going back in, anything like that.
The only downside to that way of thinking is if it's nothing, you have to hard reset the game and walk all the way to desert. So it's a move that's does have its risks, and it's a much better risk if you do not have, or if you have some way to get to desert quickly, which these runners currently do not, having neither boots nor the flute. So our runners do not have a bottle, but do you know how the bottle trick to skip the bow requirement on the right side of this dungeon works?
I know about the glitch. I haven't actually researched it too much to know how it works, though.
Me neither, unfortunately. I tried to do it. I think it has to do with a screen transition while a bottle is working, like while you're refilling hearts. I've been wrong before, so... Hammer Landmaul, DKS is a braver man than I. I'm pretty sure Landmaul does take full spin damage from the Master Sword.
I'm pretty sure he does as well. He's gonna have to be careful now.
So if you notice that Landmaul did not put out rocks at that very end, it's because the game cannot have that many sprites on the screen. very, very close, but DKS gets it, and it looks like there is an item behind Boots. And that's gotta be just on in the back of DKS's mind. When I have Boots, I'm gonna have to come back here. Or I might have to come back here.
Yeah, it's potential. You know, hopefully they won't have to. But we did see our first bottle inside Pod while that fight was going on as well.
Was it filled with anything?
It was filled with some code.
I didn't hear a word you just said.
It was filled with some code red.
Code red. So if DSpags does know that trick to get to right side, he will be able to do it. Is DKS clearing out more Overworld, I assume, here?
I don't think DK checked the digging game or Stumpy.
No, he hasn't done any of South Dark World.
Just Hype Cave.
Yeah.
I believe Helmosaur will actually have one of the items. Or the bow locked area will as well.
Looks like DSpags either doesn't know how to or is uninterested in doing the bottle trick here. I will definitely need to learn that trick before my next race. DKS learning the good news that digging is not on the menu today. DSpags gonna go ahead and check Sick Kid and then probably follow in DKS's footsteps here, depending on what's here.
Just more hearts.
Bottle Trick does not require Samaria. I have seen it done without using Cane of Samaria. I've seen it done with solely a bottle. There is a trick that does require a bottle, though. The Cane of Samaria, because you have a block, and the block pushes you out of bounds, essentially. I believe it's a way to get AG, which is not allowed here.
So I think they're actually running out of areas to check with their current loadout, and they're going to the save and quit for the blacksmiths. I think outside of that, we're kind of down to, you know, turning the mushroom in, doing a save and quit for purple chest. They really don't have access to many dungeons at this point anymore.
Making fake flips into Ice Palace, which is probably the play I would be making, but I can certainly understand not wanting to do that. Ice Palace is not the fastest of dungeons, unless you can go mode it. It's, I think, the second fastest dungeon, or second. It is the dungeon with one of the fastest ways to get through it if you can go mode it. In comparison to its normal full clear way, the fastest being Swamp Palace.
Yeah, technically Zora is open. I forgot about Zora. I think Catfish is still open. Nobody's checked that, and I don't know if DSpags went to check the pyramid when he went into Pod.
I would have. Did DSpags not check Dark Death Mountain when he was up here?
No, DSpags did check Dark Death Mountain. He is probably thinking about that mushroom, though. No, DK has not turned in the mushroom yet.
DKS demonstrating that you don't need frame perfect movement to be able to get fake flippers. All you need is a bomb.
Yeah, when you have this much health and a surplus of bombs, it's a really easy way to be able to pull that glitch off.
It loses a little time, but only if you get that glitch first time. I think it's actually faster if you miss the glitch 2 or 3 times. There we go. Good job, DKS.
Looks like DSpags is going to follow right behind him with the fake flippers, probably.
I mean, like you said, there's not really all that much that our runners can do at this point. DSpags might be using fake flippers to go into Ice Palace as opposed to doing this North Dark World trip. DKS going to be Jesus walking. Little thing that I didn't know and took me just forever to figure out. You do require the Moon Pearl to be able to Jesus walk on water like DKS is doing. However, fake flippers into Waterfall, definitely the play here. Mirror going to be just a huge boon to our runners.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge sequence break there.
They'll want to remember that Mirror is behind flippers, so that will reduce the number of places that they could find the mirror. Could find the flippers.
Get a life lesson from Zora, but yeah, and it's definitely important because they are going to need the flippers to complete the seed. We're about to find out what that mushroom holds.
DSpags deciding to skip Zora. I don't super like this play, simply because of the just few number of places that our runners have access to right now. And Zora is definitely one of them. Oh, it looks like he's going back to Zora. He just wanted to check that mushroom. I do think it makes a lot more sense to check the mushroom on the way up to Catfish.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, having the mirror, you could have just routed them both. Now you kind of orphan Catfish by itself, and with the limited amount of areas you have where there's got to be progression somewhere, and the magic mirror is outside of logic currently, it's kind of might be a little bit of a waste.
And Catfish is already pretty orphaned, as it is. Like, it is not a fast, like, just a fast dip over there, just because of how it's placed.
Yeah, especially considering DSpags has already checked pod and pyramid, so, you know, you could route it when he goes through. Actually, no, because you'd have to glitch over there. With water walking, you can't even get over there from the north. Dark World route either.
He might be going up to Catfish anyway, though.
Well, looks like he's about to check the ledge that DK just checked first.
DK's already checked Grove, right? Dark World Grove?
DK just checked it before he went to that ledge.
Yeah, you're absolutely
DSpags
right.
has already checked it. I like the routing from DK a little bit better. Okay, that's huge.
DK, as Zion says, is embracing out-of-logic play and is getting just incredibly rewarded for it. Flute puts Meyer on the table.
Yeah, Flute gives him full access to Meyer if Meyer is Bombos as well. He just won't be able to clear it because we're missing Kane and Samaria still. But yeah, Flute is actually, it's not out of logic now that I think about it, because save and quit's logical, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're heading right back to Kakariko to get the swag duck.
Sorry, we went a little quiet there. It's important to be respectful during the Swag Duck Anthem.
Oh yes, you must pay your respects to swag duck.
Absolutely.
I believe the only person that's allowed to talk during swag duck is Dr. Bob.
Indeed.
Meyer is actually Bombos as well.
DKS doing a little, well, so DKS fell down there, and if he had just walked forward, he would have gotten through these puff balls without getting hurt, just because of the damage, the iframes from dropping down into the water.
Well, there's our ether.
So if I see ether here, DKS knows that ether's not required, right?
Yeah, I'm not even sure if DSpags has checked Turtle Rock yet. I think DK is the only one that actually has checked the Turtle Rock medallion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catfish was garbage, yeah.
Yep, big 20.
I forgot, we have Cane of Burna, which puts Spike Cave in play.
It does, but it's out of logic right now still.
Yes, because, yeah. because Kane was also one of the things we got in that wonderful, wonderful waterfall.
And showing off that when you have 14 hearts of health, you almost don't need to use any magic. We didn't find anything safe there.
DKS deciding against dipping into pod. Not pod. Meyer. It looks like he is either dipping into pod or headed to catfish right now. I do think Meyer is the play at this point.
Yeah, I've kind of been keeping track of where they've been checking, and we know nothing of value was in pod because DSpags has already been in there. At least nothing that has access to, unless there's something in those bowlock chests and you use the bottle glitch. But other than that, there's really not too much. I mean, there might be something on the graveyard ledge, but that would be out of logic. So I think logic is actually pointing right into Meyer.
And it looks like DSpags is heading to that purple chest, so he'll probably be pointed to Meyer pretty soon. We don't know what progression it has, but if it is flippers, then Meyer is going to transition probably directly into Swamp Palace.
Could be swamp or could be ice as well, because that would put ice in logic as well.
Swamp has a lot more items though, and Swamp has more items, but it's not in logic, unfortunately. Oh yeah, it is. I'm just wrong. If flips is in Meyer, everything's in logic.
Yep, that's the one item we're missing to put everything on logic, and I have it kind of with what we've found right now. I think that might actually be what's hiding inside of Meyer.
Actually, got to turn in that the lunchbox is important. That luck-picking thief is hungry. And pays in fast travel. Knowing what we know, it's pretty obvious that Meyer's the play. However, there are just more items in pod, so it does make a lot more sense to be dipping pod here.
It does, and you've had access to it for as long as you have as well. The main question would be, and I'm wondering, because DK is kind of new, he's only been running Randomizer for 7 weeks, if he knows that the save and quit is actually part of logic or not. Because if he thinks it's out of logic, and Mirror's out of logic, then he might think that Meyer doesn't have anything, and, if you've got the option between pod or an out of logic Meyer, you're always going to pick, more than likely you're going to pick the out of logic Meyer, or pod, or logical pod, not out of logic.
I know when I was as new to the game as DKS is, I was not thinking about the logic at all. I think that's just a slightly advanced technique. And I would be impressed if he was thinking about that right now.
Yeah, I know. I learned that because I actually had a seed where my progression was on a save and quit purple chest, and I checked every single location. I didn't even know it was within logic, And I was actually on the Discord asking, and they're like, "Did you check the purple chest?" I was like, "No, I haven't checked purple chest. It's auto logic." Like, no, save and quit's actually illogical. I'm like, "Oh, well, that's good to know." The one nice thing about DK's visit to pod over DSpags' visit to pod, though, is that he does have mirror, so it's going to be a little bit faster.
It looks like I feel like Spags has had slightly better execution in this seed, and that is catching up to him here. I think he's been just slightly behind on the items, just his routing this whole seed, but finally he's going to catch up based solely on execution.
Yeah, right now I would say they're not too far apart from each other, because Chad did make the point. DSpags hasn't actually went back into Desert to clear Landmo yet, so if DK makes a play inside Meyer, he's a little bit behind in Meyer, but as far as that, DSpags does still have to go kill Landmolas. Looks like DK's is making the same play back into Meyer now.
Then again, we do still have that that right side play, and DSpags might just be waiting for Boots to clear out Desert, and if he is, I don't blame him at all.
No, not at all. And from what we know, there's got to be some. More than likely, I don't think there's really anywhere else we can check. There has to be some kind of progression in here right now. It could be Boots. There's not many things that really could be that are going to open a lot up, but Boots are one of them. You know, there could be Powder. Could even find Canis and Mario in here, and Vidrius has the last item.
Kane opens up the beginning of Turtle Rock.
Not quite. They need Quake for that.
You're absolutely right. It looks like both of our runners decided to go ahead and grab Ether, despite not being required for this seed. DSpags sees the burrito in the room north of the Four Torches, and decides to go ahead and check the rest of the dungeon. And there's the bow! That's a big deal.
Yeah, that opens up Pod completely.
Makes Eastern Palace finishable. Though we have found all 3 items in Eastern Palace. And the Fire Rod. I gotta be honest, if I'm these runners, a Fire Rod is the last thing I want to see.
Yeah, because we know that both items of Skull Woods, we did not find either one of them. So they are both, one's on Mossflay himself and the other one is in the chest.
Eastern is a crystal. The pendants are Skullwoods, Thieves Town, and Turtle Rock. Which is why Fire Rod is not the best item in the world.
I'd rather see that than Quake, though.
Fair.
Hopefully DK keeps going when he finds the bow and doesn't just exit out. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Well, here's the thing. It's Fire Rod. It's not actually necessarily required to finish the seed.
You're right, but yeah, chat pointed out too, Skullwoods is our green pendant. So that's 3 items that are locked behind Fire Rod right now.
It all depends on where that Chain of Samaria is. If it's one of those 3 items, that is a big misplay from DK.
Yeah, it was definitely a gamble leaving. It might pay off because maybe Fire Rod really doesn't lead to anything, but we'll find out. Yes, pedestal was checked. It was the red tunic.
Or runic, as I like to call it. You know, that thing that Cells does that's completely useless in Final Fantasy VI?
It helps every now and then, but yeah.
Anyway, back to this. DSpags going ahead and completely clearing out pod. Both of our runners doing so. Cells is great, or as I like to call her, Kutan. So, if based solely on the items we're able to get, if Halmasaur is nothing, DK is gonna have to go back to Meyer to pick up that Fire Rod.
Not necessarily, because Pod is the other 5/6 crystal. They would have access to Fat Fairy at that point.
Right.
But then, yes, if Fat Fairy doesn't have anything for progression-wise, yeah, he's gonna need to go get that Fire Rod. No, Armos will not have an item. I believe they found all of them.
Yeah, the items were, I think, an arrow upgrade, a red rupee, and the fighter sword, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Very clean turtle room there. I could not have done it better myself.
I think DK's had a little bit better execution in coming back into Pod, and it's caught up to DSpags when it comes to this. At least, if there isn't that Fire Rod isn't needed, they're pretty much right on top of each other now. Just a big 20 off of Helmasaur.
It is really hard to see who's ahead right now, actually. DK does have more crystals, so based solely on crystals collected, he's technically ahead. But again, Lenmo's very, very quick, and that we have no idea how important that fire rod is.
Yeah, and DSpags, when he does finally get to Landmo, his is going to be a lot quicker because he has the option of either using Fire Rod or Silver Arrows for that kill compared to the Hammer or Master Sword that DK's had to use.
As I said before, I have speculated that what what Spags is waiting on is boots to be able to full clear desert.
Yeah, it's possible. It's like, you know, there's still one item in there though, and you know you can get to Landmola, so it's like probably in the back of your mind that he might still have the progression for you as well.
So, this boss with silvers is very, very easy, and it's the only boss that I wish I didn't have silvers for. Because this boss is just a lot of fun to do with basic arrows. Alas, it is significantly faster with silvers.
Yeah, it's pretty much night and day.
By significantly, I mean like 10 seconds max, probably closer to 5. Spag's gonna go ahead and finish Ice Palace and Swamp Palace.
No, he's probably checking for... He's going to check his Fat Fairy.
He might be going to the Swamp Palace. I mean, it is open.
They are missing Flipper still for Swamp.
Oh, you're absolutely right, aren't you?
Yeah, right now, logically, I think all they have at the moment is Fat Fairy and Skull Woods.
So we're Flippers and Kane of Samario away from Go Mode.
Yeah, and potentially Boots if that big key is in its best troll location that's not Tile Room.
Big Key actually is guaranteed to be vanilla in Mire right now. They actually checked all the other items. Unless they found Big Key and I just didn't notice.
They actually did. It would have been a Godmire if they weren't looking for anything.
Oh, okay. That explains why DSpags left.
And there's no progression on the Fat Fairy.
Here we go into Skull Woods then. It is unfortunate that DKS is going to need to triple dip Meyer here. I feel like if I were in his position, I would probably be dipping into Ice Palace as opposed to dipping into Meyer again.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're paying attention, to your locations, what you have left, from what he's checked, I think all he has is this last chest in Meyer. So if that's the case, he knows that his progression has to be here. And the main question right now is, do you think we're going to get any frustration slashes or anything when he finds that fire rod?
I don't know DKS enough to be able to answer that question. Red meringue. So Spags has one shot with the fire rod, and needs to get either 8 slashes or 4 spin splashes on Mothula. It is quite hard to even charge up a spin slash, though, with all the damage coming out from this boss. But DSpags manages very cleanly to take down this boss. That is not the item you want to see, though.
Because that means one major thing. That means Sahasrahla has our item we need.
And if that item is Cane of Samaria, we might be seeing a dip into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. If he's got Cane of Samaria, there's nothing else open at that point.
Well, Meyer's open, but after you finish Meyer, like, we know there's no items in Meyer.
Vanilla boots.
Spags taking this time to go ahead and finish up Desert Palace, which I do not blame him. This was definitely what he was waiting on.
Which does mean one thing as well, that stealing the key from the back to go to right side would have been a big play to make.
Not necessarily. Boots opens up more locations than this.
True.
This is just one location. We have both King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks that could have been important here.
But
However,
we find Samaria.
so if you're running the seed, how sure are you that Turtle Rock Dip is the right play? Sure enough to skip Bonk Rocks?
I don't know, because between Backrocks and King's Tomb, it's not a huge check. I mean, you're looking at, maybe a minute or so to do that. I would probably check them before going up to Turtle Rock, because if you go to Turtle Rock and nothing's there, even though everything's pointing Turtle Rock right now, that's a long time to go through that dungeon. Because the only thing you can't run is Trinex, and if the seed wants to troll even more, it could be that the progression is on Trinex itself, and Ice Rod is in one of those boots lock locations.
Myers Full is open, but we're still looking for flippers, and
That's it.
there's no items in Mire. I just realized, is that Vanilla Boots?
Yeah, that was Vanilla Boots.
I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
I was kind of small hoping that it was actually Kane, because then we could say we're being really mean to Sahasrahla by taking the old man's cane.
DSpags is in the lead. He got boots from Sahasrahla, and all he is looking for at this point is the flippers for Go Mode.
Yep, Kane was in Desert Palace.
Kane was right side of Desert Palace. I would say the lead that DSpags has is not more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's only, because when DK does go back over to Desert Palace, he does not have to clear line modes. He just has to get the item mirror out and then go right in, and he'll probably go right into Mire when he sees it's Samaria, since you're there. So,
And
you're
he
about...
might do Bonk Rocks first.
That is true. He could check those locations first. Vidi does not have a dungeon item. Misery Mire had both the fire rod as well as the bow.
I think if you're rooting for DKS, you are rooting for flippers to be in Turtle Rock right now, because flippers on either of these box locations is going to cause DKS to probably full clear both Swamp and Ice Palace before going into Desert Palace again. That early grab of silver's paying off here.
Yeah, if you want any weapon to go against Vidi, I think that's the one you're going to choose, is silver arrows. And we didn't find anything, so that means he's gonna have to go back to desert.
Which is good for him. As I said, the worst thing that could have happened would be flippers there. As it is, flippers are basically guaranteed to be in Turtle Rock.
Or something that will lead to them.
Yes. Are our runners going to remember that flippers cannot be in Mimic Cave and skip that? Zion, you're saying this, and I think you think it's really trolly, but it would be so obvious if that's the case.
The troll right now would actually be flippers on Trinex, and then you find either powder or shovel in Turtle Rock, and Ice Rod is on one of those.
Right. And as Axel just pointed out, this seed has been pretty trolly already. I don't think we need to help it out.
No, we really don't, because that does mean that the save and quit purple chest was actually logical. Crazy Kelly, flippers are an item which allows Link to swim. He can't swim without them for some reason. They could technically get in an Ice Palace without the flippers for that crystal that they need, but Swamp Palace, you have to have the flippers to get through. There's no way to glitch around that.
Or at least not allowed in this tournament.
Yes. Yeah, it is flippers for go mode.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the autocorrect go mode into commode. I don't know why that's so funny to me. Maybe it's because I'm tired.
I mean, technically that would work because, you know, Link wants to go home, but he's got to kill Ganon first. So to go to his commode, he's, you know, he needs it.
Indeed. DS on muscle memory at this point. So I know that DSpags is ahead, but he's not actually ahead by that much. Like, this is a race that could be decided by left side versus right side Ganon Tower.
It could be, and another thing to point out is they really, I mean, they've got the red bottle, or the red goo in the bottle, but they really don't have that many safeties outside of that. They don't have powder yet. With only one bottle as well, it's just like that safety is very limited. They could catch a fairy if they have to use it for that, but still, it's not a whole lot.
As I said before, DSpags is ahead by no more than 5 minutes. And I do not think it's even a full 5 minutes.
Yet we are on the hunt for some more footwear.
I think if you're either of these runners, you're not feeling good about yourself right now. Like, I can definitely see scenarios where a runner, makes, DKS very unhappy with this dead rock right now. Very unhappy with this dead rock right now.
Five minutes isn't that bad, Crazy Kelly. Like I said, it's still too close to just say he's got too much of a lead. Like when we get to Ganon's tower, there's some gambles that can be made there that could pay off and put them right on top of each other, where it's execution and who can run up Ganon's tower fastest, or even during the fight. If one of them finds a tempered sword and the other one doesn't, that's a huge time save on the Ganon fight itself. DK getting trolled by those dead rocks everywhere on his way up.
Let's see if DSpags remembers to skip Mimic Cave. The answer looks to be no.
Still not a bad idea because it doesn't take that long to check, and they still are only on Master Swords, so could find a sword upgrade here.
I think this takes long enough that I wouldn't call this on the way. And I think at the point that you're at right now, you're only looking for Master Sword with items that are strictly on the way.
No, you're okay, Kelly. If you're new to it, that's what the commentators are here for, so we can answer questions for anybody that's new to it so you can understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's literally our whole job, is to explain to you.
There we go.
So DSpags at 1 hour 43 seconds and 43 minutes and 20 seconds. Goodness gracious, has reached go mode. I said that out loud so I would know exactly how far ahead he is when DKS finds the flippers. One good thing about this seed is both Ice Palace and Swamp Palace are going to be go-moded.
Yeah, gonna be incredibly quick on both of them.
And skipping that very first chest makes me think that DSpags very much is not going to be looking for the tempered sword on really anything that is very much on the way.
Yeah, probably will only check what he needs to in Ganon's tower till he gets the big key, and then we'll head right up and maybe check the 2 chests in Mini Helmasaur Cave, Landmola 2, or not Landmola, Moldorm 2's chest, and then the final chest before Moldorm 2.
Yep.
Well, we found an ice rod.
Ice Rod, super useless. And DKS at 1 hour 48 minutes flat is in go mode, so it's just shy of 5 minutes that Spags is ahead.
Yep, pretty much just that clear of Swamp House, that's all he's behind. Yeah, it's probably 2 Ganon Falls, because right now they're only on Master Sword, so a Ganon Fall would actually be a huge deal right now.
It's 2 Ganon Falls or 1 bad rounding decision in Ganon's tower. Sorry, 1 bad rounding decision in Ganon's tower and 1 Ganon Fall. So again, this is not over. It doesn't look great. I don't super know why Spags is clearing this room. Tower glitch happens so little, like it's not a common occurrence. It's probably not super useful to think about at this point. But about this amount of time, I would say, to answer your question.
And DSpags about to do everybody's favorite bomb jump. Looks good to me. Oh, nope.
I missed it, so I don't know if he was high or low. That's good. He was a little low from the restream. But again, Master Sword Ganon is not free. This is not over.
No, not at all. As far as your question, I think after he gets Big Key, DSpags is going to go right up, because there's some chests he skipped that he could have checked. It wouldn't have taken too much time, but he just blew right by them, so I think he's pretty comfortable doing a Master Sword Ganon.
He's just checking chests that are on the way. DK has flippers. I mean, he's in Swamp Palace, so he definitely has flippers.
Yeah, there's a pretty good likelihood, especially depending on where they find the Big Key, that they'll find a sword in Ganon's tower, because pretty much everything else is cleared out or checked. So, you know, Ice Palace, Swamp Palace, that's pretty much it. That hasn't really been checked, and then, you know, the couple fetch quests we have left.
So this strategy that DKS is doing is not easy. I can't do it at all. And he seems to be getting it pretty, most of the time. And a very clean silver arrow kill.
Yeah, I think he gained a little bit of time on DSpags. I think his kill was a little bit quicker because of how he did it. Well, we have a little bit of safety now.
Yeah, very welcome. Powder makes Ganon's tower a lot easier. Well, a little easier. I think a lot is overselling it.
But DSpags has Crystal 7, which means he is on his way up Death Mountain to go to Ganon's tower. You know what that means it's time for, D2?
I believe this means we get to play a guessing game here. There are 22 items in Ganon's tower that can be our Ganon's tower Big Key. Which do you think it is? I'm gonna guess 17 because I always do. That is if you do the meta route, that is the third chest behind Armos Knights. But I'm gonna guess 17 in particular. What do you guess, Sir Link-a-Lot?
I am gonna go with chest 13 today.
What chest is that?
I'm actually not sure what chest that is off the top of my head. I'm trying to think really quickly which one that might be.
I think it's the fourth chest in Randomizer room, if I'm counting correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it's like the 4 there, 2 there. That's 11, 12. Actually, I think it's the first chest in Randomizer room. If you get to go right side.
If you do full right side, it is the chest before Randomizer room. It's the hookshot chest.
Oh, that's right. There's that one chest before Randomizer room. I forgot about that one.
Well, we got a lot of people following in my footsteps, checking 17. I see 2 of them in chat already.
Yeah, we got a couple 17s, a couple 11s. Got
16s.
yeah.
Someone doing the reverse Price is Right, where you actually choose to go one below your opponents.
Looks like we did get a key, so we are going to be going right side.
DSpags choosing not to do a key dash there. Also, DSpags spent some time doing chests that were on the way in Ice Palace, and DKS choosing just to skip them all entirely, which is going to save him some time. It looks like the meta route gets them Tempered Sword, which is just fine. We're 6 up with no Ganon's Tower big key yet, though.
DK having to use that red potion. And a butter sword.
Ganon just got super easy, which is good news for Spags.
The other interesting thing, if that being that the other sword upgrade is on the left side, if DK would do something like gamble going left side immediately, he's going to get a sword upgrade regardless now, so it's not going to be something like Master Sword versus Tempered Sword if that would have happened. There goes my guess.
Yep. 17, because of the route that Spags took, is actually going to be the last room here. $16 is the answer. 16.
We had a couple of those in chat.
We did. So congrats to Valwrath and Coding Witcher. You were correct, and you get the smug sense of satisfaction knowing that you were right on the internet. DK deciding against getting trolled by those dead rocks a third time.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all.
Definitely 16. Including Torch, 16. Thanks for the bits, Coding Witcher. Both of our runners are in go mode. And neither of our runners is going to miss out on a sword, on getting tempered. The question is whether or not DK is going to get gold sword.
So I can at least check the first 2 chests. But it is going to go right side.
Zeke XX is asking what the differences between the different categories are. There are so many categories. If you're not used to Randomizer, what I would suggest doing is trying either open or standard. The difference between those two is in standard, you start as the game starts, waking up with Uncle and going through escape. Because you're not guaranteed a lantern, you get a courtesy lights that allows you to go ahead and do escape without having to do that in the dark. Open starts you in the state of having already rescued Zelda. And it looks like DK is going to be doing exactly the same route that Spags did, which is means he's not going to gain any time here.
No, not outside of, a little bit better, execution, anything like that. And the other main thing to note about standard is there's a couple ways you can actually start in standard. The one that they're running is, because we are running a standard seed right now, is Uncle or swords randomized, which that means you will get a weapon, but it won't necessarily be a sword. There is an option for Uncle will guarantee to have a sword. If you're new to it, if you are new to it, I would suggest starting with Uncle having the sword guaranteed, because some of the weapons you can start with can be a little tricky getting through the sewers if you're new to the randomizer or Link to the Past in general.
Bombs especially are very, very difficult. Solely because of that key rat. Killing that key rat with bombs is bane of my existence. We have a very, very clean Moldorm 2 kill from DSpags, and Spags is choosing to just absolutely blow past that last chest.
I don't really blame him. I mean, the only thing you might be looking for at that point, but he still has his red potion if I'm not mistaken, would be a bottle that's filled with something that would help against that last fight. But, they're at 17 hearts with blue mail, butter sword, and silver arrows. It's probably not going to be that difficult of a fight.
That is a triple from Spags to start off this fight. He is not playing around.
Yeah, that last one was a good set for a triple, but Aghanim sent the blue balls his way.
That is 3-1-2, which is very, very good. I will take that any day of the week.
Yeah, very clean Aga 2 kill.
That's actually the fastest he could have had that kill. Because of those blue balls, he could not have gotten 2 triples.
And DK has his big key and is on his way up the tower now as well.
I have never thought to use a hookshot there. I wonder if it saves time.
And Butter started making very quick work of Ganon. Already in phase 3 and setting up for the torch glitch.
dKs doing a damage boost here to be able to run through that room. Which, again, I don't blame him with 17 hearts. He probably doesn't have very much to worry about here.
Yeah, and even if he gets in trouble, we still have that powder that he can use a little bit up the tower. On phase 4 of Ganon, gets the torch glitch.
Uninterested in running out of magic. I don't blame him for not using the fire rod. I have definitely run out of magic on this fight.
And down goes Ganon, GG to DSpags.
GG to DSpags, finishing in 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 14 seconds. Let's see if we can get him in here. DK finishing up Ganon's tower.
Ganon's fire bats do not light the torches.
So the big question is, where did DK go wrong? It was just a few small things. Dipping out of Mire and full clearing Hera, I think, is really the two big mistakes in this run.
Yeah, those were really the only mistakes. The Hera one wasn't too bad, but dipping out of Mire as soon as you're getting the bow, not necessarily a bad call. It could have been a big gamble and it could have paid off. Just in this case, it didn't, because that fire rod was there and it was definitely necessary.
Remembering to grab that key, very, very good.
I mean, in Randomizer, there's really no such thing as a mistake, I would say, because things that, you do in one seed, they may not pay off, but then you do them exactly the same on another seed, and it completely pays off. So it's, sometimes it's just it's a good decision, just bad for the seed. And that's kind of the case this was. It could have been that was a huge time save, him leaving, and then he finds everything he needs in the 2 dungeons that are left, and he can just go mode everything. But that just wasn't the case for this seed.
But I think he's unlikely to miscount Hera again anytime soon. We're working on getting Spags in here right now.
We do get some Swagnet strats.
Of all the dungeons you could have come into, you decided to come into mine. This is Swagnet.
Yeah, and pretty much exactly what you said, Math Girl. There's usually never a mistake or a bad play. It's just not the correct one for the seed you're on. And something to note while DK is working on Ganon is that for only having been running the random Link to the Past randomizer for 7 weeks, considering how this seed was and everything like that, he did an amazing job.
Absolutely. I have a question as to whether he's how good how informed he is about this game in general, because I would not be surprised if he has run other categories.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Spags, how are you feeling?
Oh man, I thought I had to be behind that entire time.
You and DK switched the lead over and over and over again. It was just good routing decisions and a few very good execution decisions on your part that got you through.
It just seems so often the progression item was the last place I could check. And I was like, oh, alright. Like, I guess it's gotta be here, or I guess it's gotta be there. So, I definitely felt behind most of the race.
Fortunately, that happened for DK a lot as well, where the progression was the last place he could check.
Well, I guess I don't feel so bad then, if we both got trolled pretty bad by the seed.
Yeah, was not a nice seed.
And GG to DK.
Exactly 6 minutes behind you.
Yeah, that was a close one. So, where, you said that we switched leads a few times, what was the decision that kind of put me out front to, I asked to make up that 6 minutes?
DK full cleared Hera. He went into the basement despite having gotten all the items. And he jumped out of Mire after getting the bow, whereas you got both bow and
the fire rod.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was very well played by both of you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I was happy to find the swords. In the last tournament, the open mode, essentially what knocked me out was Rick found tempered sword and I didn't. So I was like, it was in the back of my mind the whole time, well, I have master sword. Maybe I should look for tempered. And then, the two other swords were in Ganon's tower, of course. So.
Yep. There's the perennial question. Is there something you would have done differently?
I guess if I would have known that fake flippering, would have sequence broke the mirror, it would have made things a little bit easier. So I wouldn't have had to go the long way to get, blacksmiths to do the purple chest to get the flute, going back up Death Mountain to get the mushroom. Maybe just some of those one-off places I wouldn't have one after, or at least sequence breaking to get the mirror, and the waterfall fairy would have made it a lot easier.
That's the other thing. You went up Death Mountain with no sword, whereas DK actually already had Master Sword when he went up.
Yeah, because I want to say I got my first sword on Death Mountain, and then I got the other one in Hype Cave, or
it's Eastern. It was in Eastern.
Yeah, I think it was the vanilla big key chest, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last question I have for you is, you went into Mimic Cave. Did you do that because you were looking for Tempered Sword, or
absolutely?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, I'm up here. I technically shouldn't have the mirror yet. I was like, so maybe there's something in here. But yeah, it was 100% just hoping for a sword, and I think I got bombs. You know.
Anyway, DKS, welcome.
Thank you. GG.
Hey, good game.
Yeah, that was a seed.
Yeah, to say the
Yes.
least.
Indeed. We do have a few questions for you. Number one is that dip into the basement of Hera. Did you just miscount?
I thought I only got one item, and honestly, at that point, I was really tilted because I went up Death Mountain into Paradox with no bombs, and so like I was just losing time because I'd have to go back there again, and then in Hera, I just like the tilt continued.
Well,
So I wasn't paying attention really.
from where we were sitting, that mistake of not having bombs didn't actually lose you all that much time, maybe 30 seconds, simply because you're guaranteed bomb drops in Hera.
Yeah, and it's still off-putting because that's literally the first time I've ever done that. Like gone into Paradox Caves with no bombs. Like, what do you do?
It's completely understandable. The other thing is leaving Meyer.
Yeah, I knew like if I was gonna lose, that would probably cost me it, considering how the seed went. Like checking everything and leaving it up till like Meyer as the only place for progression, and yeah, once I went into Skullwoods and didn't get anything from the green pendant, I knew like I screwed up, and that would probably cost me.
Last thing I want to ask is, you went ahead and checked Mimic Cave. Were you looking for the Tempered Sword, or had you forgotten that Mirror was behind the flippers?
Yeah, I'd forgotten that it was out of logic. So I was hoping flippers were in there, but obviously they weren't going to be.
Is there anything you would have, other than the things we've already brought up, is there anything you would have changed about how you've played this seed?
Just be more efficient. I think running around like with no boots or anything a lot of the time, doing one-offs, it wasn't the best seed, and I could have done purple chest earlier, and I just put it off after the smiths.
You did do purple chest before your opponent. You had flutes a good 5 minutes before DSpags did.
Yeah, usually I would, after like not having Mir and having to save and quit with the smiths, usually I would go back like to the Dark Ward portal and just do it and do the smiths right away. But I put it off, and I wish I changed that. I don't think it would have saved me, but I would have changed that. I don't know about like, I don't know, Paradox Cave, like going in there with no bombs, that really tilted me because like it just felt like nothing was going my way at that point because I was messing up a lot. There's a lot of mistakes.
I do have one question. So your bio said you're very new to Randomizer. Have you? How comfortable are you with Link to the Past in general?
I'm pretty comfortable. Like before I started playing Randomizer, like I started just trying NMG runs so I could get like familiar with the game and like all the tactics for all the dungeons, the rooms, Overworld. And so I did that, and then I eventually just I didn't want to do it because it wasn't fun, and Randomizer was the true goal. And so I just started playing that. So I'm pretty comfortable.
It definitely shows. This was a very, very good seed from you. Like, you may not, maybe not happy with your execution, but it was not as bad as I think you think it is.
No, I think it was okay. I could have done a lot better though.
Do you have any questions for him, Link?
No, the main one I was going to touch on was like the experience with Randomizer and everything, but you got that one.
Chad is asking us to ask you how you feel about Dead Rocks.
There's no, I can't use words on this like stream to describe how I feel about Dead Rocks. I got, as you guys could see, I got blocked by them multiple times.
Just twice. I mean, I've seen worse, but it's definitely not a good feeling when it happens.
Yeah, I hate them. I'll put it that way.
Well, if you enjoyed what you saw, I certainly enjoyed myself. Give these runners a follow. They are putting themselves out there by allowing themselves to be restreamed, and it's all for our enjoyment. If there's not anything else to be said, I think that's probably us.
Yeah.
There is... Go ahead.
It's a good seed, and GG.
Yeah, GG, good race. And thanks, guys, for commentating.
Yeah.
It was much appreciated.
Thanks to the restream, the tracking, all that put this together, all the tournament admins, like, we couldn't do this without them.
Yep, we'll have to say, I want to thank Cassidy Moan for doing tracking for us. She did a fantastic job here. I'd like to thank my co-commentator, Sir Link, a lot. His Twitch info is there. Give him a follow, give our trackers a follow, give our runners a follow. There is more Randomizer to be had. We are going to be going until very late tonight. I think there's a race all the way to 1:30 a.m. So get your Randomizer fix on the Speed Gaming channels and on the Link to the Past channels. Unless you have something else to say, Sir Link-a-Lot.
No, I was just gonna say the same thing. Definitely, follow the runners. Thank you to the, thank you to you D2 for commentating with me. To Cassidy for tracking the restream. But yeah, we definitely have a lot more Randomizer for the evening. Like you said, up until 1:30 a.m. is the last race that'll start, and then we've got plenty more tomorrow still.
And I want to thank everyone for watching. I have been D2 Camps.
And I've been Sir Link-a-Lot 777.
I hope you have a good day filled with Randomizer.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.